G'day crew. In this video I'm going to cover fitting a spray system to my new trailer. The purpose of this is twofold, and the first reason is to ease the task of washing those hard to reach areas. The second reason is that doing a more thorough job of washing the salt away is going to extend the life of the trailer. I really wish I'd thought of this when I've had galvanised trailers, but this is a first for me. And since I hadn't done this before, I thought I had a really good idea, but I didn't really know the ins and outs of accomplishing it. So I've ended up doing this in two parts. Both parts are in this video, but after I'd done the first part, I discovered that more sprays would be better. I'll put some links down in the video description to the kits that I used if you want to have a go at doing this for your trailer. Okay, this is the little T-piece you use. And they're just press fit. So this is the nozzle here, and that adjusts. You can adjust that for a wider or more concentrated spray. And to assemble it, you just push it in, and that won't come back out. But if you push, see that gap there, if you push that down, you can pull it out easily. But as long as there's that gap there, you can push it in, but it won't come back out. And same with these tubes into it, and the spray nozzle, it's all the same, press fit, really easy to do. Now to do these ones, I want to put a spray onto each of these inside wheels, and a couple onto the outside wheels, and one straight up in the middle facing forwards. Start with this one, and this is the tool that comes with this kit to cut your lines. So right there in the middle, open this packet of T-pieces. Might just need that blade for that. Start it like that. Right, and that's going to sit. It's going to sit down there, I guess. That's the best place for it. Now, will these go around and meet up? Not quite. I need the bigger ones. Bit hard to know where the bait's going to sit. I think putting them right in the centre is going to be the safest bit, because I've got the concave hull, and so the concave hull should go either side of that, I think. Now this can bend like that and sit up against the hull, I guess. I'll figure it out. Once the bait's on there, I'll have to crawl under and I guess and sort these. Might be better focusing that on the inside of that, I think. Which means I'll need to cut him about there. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Did not quite get that right, did I? Never mind. It will probably be near enough. Now let me see how we're going to do this. Cut him about there, I think. Oh dear, this is slightly hard to cut. Oh, that's why it's harder to cut. Oh dear. Did not count on that. Right. In that case, I'm going to need... Oh no, I did manage to get through it. Alright, now this one. And make him a little bit longer though. Put him there. See how we go with that one. A couple more out there, and that'll do this one then. Yeah, about here I think. Okay, that's one setup. A little bit of a spray along the bottom of the boat, not much. I think I'll modify that for the next one, so I'll spray out on the sides a bit, put two in the centre. I'll show you that when I'm finished. I've shown you setting up one cross member. I'll set the others up off camera and show you the finished product. I got this pressure reducer because I was unsure if the fittings would cope with the full water pressure where I washed down at the boat club. After using it quite a bit now, I think I could have got away without the pressure reducer. On the other hand, I haven't tried it without the pressure reducer, so if you want to fit one to your trailer, I think I'd be inclined to stick with it and put a reducer on, just in case. However, if you do decide to put a spray system on your trailer and you're feeling adventurous and decide not to put the pressure reducer on, let us know about it in the comments. I'd like to know if it works or not. Okay, the moment of truth. I've got it all connected up now. We'll see what happens. The big black unit there is the pressure reducer and filter. So that reduces the pressure going into the system. I think I need that so it doesn't blow the nozzles off the hose fittings. Anytime you're ready. Okay, there it goes. Oh, we've got water. That'll do. Come and have a look. Come and have a look. Oh yeah, going down there onto the brakes. Beautiful. How's that?
Excellent.
This is stage 2 of setting up the atomizing sprays on the trailer. I'll play this segment through on fast forward while I talk about what I was trying to achieve in general. I'll go into some of the specifics later in the video. When I did the first sprays, I thought 20 misting nozzles and 30 metres of 8mm tubing would be sufficient. After installing and testing it, I decided that I could really use another 20 misting nozzles and some more tubing to add some to the outside of the I-beams. I didn't want to drill any holes in order to attach the tubing because all this aluminium has been drilled and then anodised. So if I drilled any holes in it, I'd end up having raw aluminium with no anodising on it, and I did not want that. So what I did do is I used large zip ties, put them around the I-beams, and then I could zip tie the tubing to that. Now, zip ties are plastic and they will deteriorate in the weather over time, exposure to sun, salt, seawater, all the rest of it. But I think that's preferable to drilling into the aluminium. I'll replace them as necessary. When I'd finished phase 2, I thought I had all the important areas covered, but as I put this video together and think about it, there's a fair chance that I will probably add another 10 or 20 misting nozzles just for good measure. After all, you can't have too much of a good thing. All up, I've used 40 misting nozzles and T-pieces, 2 Y-pieces, 4 elbows, and approximately 45 metres of tubing so far. Here I'm running a tube down the outside of the I-beam and I'm joining it to a 90-degree elbow at the end in order to ease the 180-degree bend around the end of the I-beam. By putting the 90-degree elbow in, the rest of the bend's rather gentle. One of the main reasons for doing this is it will let me put more misting nozzles into the brake and suspension area. I also want to spray some water up under the mudguards, which are an often forgotten area and are quite susceptible to corrosion. There's also other areas that's important to cover, and I'll talk about them as we get to them. This is how I secure the tubing to the zip ties that I have around the I-beams for this purpose. Just one smaller zip tie around the tubing and the larger zip tie to secure it there. Of course, the smaller the zip tie is, the less it can withstand the elements. So the larger zip ties will last a lot longer than the smaller ones. The smaller ones I'm going to have to replace a lot more regularly. But I expect I'll get a year or two out of them. From past experience, these really large solid zip ties can last 5 to 6 years before you need to replace them. That's exposed to the elements outdoors, not on a boat trail that's getting dipped into salt water, but it should be similar. On my trailer, there's a step at either end of the mudguards. This is just a piece of aluminium channel that's bolted in place. I want to direct a misting spray to the underside of these to make sure there's no salt buildup gets caught in there. I tried to get a shot of using a standard pipe cutter on the misting nozzles. Unfortunately, the video didn't turn out very good. So I've just included this footage of cutting a piece of the misting nozzle tubing, just so you can see that it does work. This is a pipe cutter used by plumbers, or at least it was used by plumbers back in the old days. These days they use a lot of plastic pipe instead, and they use a different sort of cutter for that. This is an old cutter for copper pipe, and you put your tube in there like that, and it's got this sharp wheel up here, and just a couple of guides here and a slot where the sharp wheel can go down in, and you put that on and you move it around the pipe, and then you give it a little twist to tighten it some more and go around again. Twist it some more, go around again, and just keep giving it a little bit of a twist as you go around. It cuts deeper and deeper, and the reason I'm using this is I don't want to squash the pipe as I cut it, so you can't use a pair of side cutters or anything like that, because that will just squash the aluminium tube that's on the inside of these. Okay, there we go, we're just about through there, and that's it. And as you can see, that's left a nice hole there, little bit of a burr on the inside, and these things come with a tool for that. You just poke that out there, put it in the end of the hole, give it a twist, and that takes that burr off the inside, leaves you with a nice end on your pipe. And that's all there is to it. Now, if you haven't got one of these, you could use a cut-off wheel on a grinder, or even a small hacksaw with very fine teeth. But definitely don't use side cutters or anything similar. To put the large zip ties around the I-beam, I needed to join two, because I didn't have a single zip tie that was long enough by itself. I tried to align the ends of the zip ties, that is the heads, at the corners of the I-beam where they'd be out of the way as much as possible. I also tried to align them on diagonally opposite corners. What that meant was that when I had it right, the tag ends of the two zip ties were the same length, and if I kept one of them, it made it really easy to cut the subsequent zip ties to the right length. And always, when cutting the tags off zip ties, cut as closely as possible to the head to avoid leaving a sharp edge to cut you later. This is another very important area to cover, and that is the inside of the box section cross members. If you decide to add a spray system to your trailer, this is one of the most important areas that you need to do. And even if you don't add a spray system to your trailer, this is one of the areas you really need to get the hose in to make sure it's flushed out. And it's not just important for an aluminium trailer, it's even more important if you have a galvanised trailer. A galvanised trailer will have flush holes on the cross members on the outside and a drain hole at the bottom in the middle, so you can direct your spray nozzles through there. You can use a hose, but having a misting spray go through there I think does a better job. Anywhere at all on the trailer that's difficult to inspect should receive extra attention when it comes to cleaning or flushing. At some point you're going to need to terminate one of the tubes. There are several ways that you can do this. Most of the kits that I have listed in the video description come with shut-off valves. You can terminate with one of these and just leave it turned off. They also come with 2 or 4 termination plugs, which you can use with any of the connectors. I chose to buy some Y connectors so that I could terminate with 2 misting nozzles. You could do the same thing with a T connector if you wanted to. When I was doing the box section cross members, I positioned the misting nozzles at both ends. You just can't have too much of a good thing. When I'm securing the tubing along the trailer frame, I try to consider where I need to place the supports so that I can secure the T-piece so that it doesn't move off the intended target. Like with the vibration of driving along the road or etc., the T-piece could move if it's not secured properly. I also tighten the zip ties enough to secure the tubing so that it won't move, but not enough to crush it or even distort it. One area that I haven't covered yet, and that I'm going to need to buy some more nozzles and maybe use just a little bit more tubing, and that is a number plate. That's not aluminium, it's not stainless steel, it's just a plain old number plate, and it will rust if you don't get it washed off and keep the salt off of it. So, as I said, I think I will add some more sprays to it. My end goal is to have the trailer completely washed by the sprays and try and do a fair bit of the underside of the boat as well. At least all the areas that are difficult for me to get to with a hose. I hope I've given you some ideas of how you could do this to your trailer to extend its life. There are links to the kits that I've used in the video description. I found them from several different sources, so you can pick your preferred online source. Much the same kits are available from Amazon, eBay, Temu, AliExpress, all the usual suspects. But the price does vary, so unless you really want to buy off a particular source, I suggest you have a look at them all and take your pick there. The next video will be on the water, and now that the engine running is nearly complete, I plan to get into the action. Until then, good fishing.